Hi, Arrow. I'm very well. Thank you. I think we talked last year.
We sure did. So I'm glad that we get this continuation. I take it seriously when I say, please come back to this show anytime in the future. And here we are.
And I did.
How do
Thank
you
you.
like the way that things have really truly opened up? And I credit artists as well as actors and musicians for the way that this nation has opened up and brought forth, the entertainment value that we're starting to get here.
Oh, yeah. I was just talking about that. The television, when I was, in my heyday, we had 35 million viewers on our show every week. It's like the Super Bowl. But there is so much TV now, and there's something for everybody. I make a joke that there's something to offend everyone, but but I don't get a chance to see everything. I fell in love with Gene Smart in Hacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to find that one, but there's so much. There's so much product out there. And in my day, it was smaller, but it was more special because everybody knew about you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how it's grown because I was talking with a podcaster yesterday that's got one of these crime series on, and she uses actual actors. I mean, like Ed Asner was on there and people like that. And I said that it's crossing over even into podcasting where acting is just so available, and basically it gives you another stage to put your talents on.
Oh, exactly. Absolutely. In the 80s, there were only 3 channels
Yeah, yeah.
when Cadney and Lacey was on. By the way, you mentioned Ed Asner. Ed Asner was a very dear friend of mine.
Oh, wow. The way that things are, like, for instance, like when you open up your heart and you write a book like Apparently There Were Complaints, I always look at that as being, that's the natural way of flushing. In other words, it's like you've experienced all of this in your life and now you're open for new things to grow inside.
Right. You take a laxative and sit down at the typewriter.
That's right.
Yeah. Each chapter is based on a complaint about me or from me. Most were about me, my size or my weight as a teenager, to being the blonde, to drinking, waiting to marry until I was almost 50.
Wow.
It's a very interesting life. And when Simon and Schuster asked me if I'd write a book, I just thought, well, I'm not really a writer. And they said, no, but you're a storyteller. And I just started sitting down and telling my stories. And it took me 7 or 8 years to finish it, but Simon and Schuster was very, very patient.
Did you handwrite it out? Because the reason why I bring that up is because usually when I say I've got 7 books, and the thing is, every one of them were handwritten first, and then I went to the computer. How did you do yours?
I talked into
Oh.
into a computer, and it would type for me
Mm-hmm.
as I tried, and then I hated it because it would misquote me. Here I'm trying to pour out my heart and soul, and I thought, who said that? So handwriting became easier.
Yeah. Mark Twain in his 100th anniversary autobiography said that he used a dictaphone. But the problem is, though, is he had to find somebody that was willing to listen to it and then put his words and thoughts together.
Oh, exactly. You always need somebody to do that. Yes, I talk forever and ever and ever, and then you need someone to sort it out
So
and find the parts that anybody would care about.
to put it in conversational form, what was that editing process like? Because I had an editor one time say, I can edit your book, but I'm not going to put my name on it. There's just too much wrong here.
What do you mean?
In other words, I wanted to do like what Mark Twain said: use your own writing language. Don't use your own accent. So I was asking her about put the punctuation.
Even when I had help,
Yeah.
even when I had help getting it to the page, it was important to me that it was always my words.
Yep.
Everything you read will be my words. Even the swear words, they're all in. In fact, Simon and Schuster called me one day and asked me if I'd please include some more. So I did. I beefed it up. But you always need help to get your words to a page.
Right.
But it's important that it's all your words. So
That was one of my biggest fears on my first book, is that I released it with the curse words in it, but then I started fearing, and I think it was just the radio guy in me going, why are you cussing on the page when you don't cuss on the radio?
Oh, well, maybe you cuss in person.
I do.
If it's a book about you, then it's important that you put the swear words in.
when
They're not gonna bleep your book.
when you talk about,
I did a series.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
no.
Oh, I did a series called Queer as Folk um, during my career. It was a big hit and a very daring show about the gay community. And my character on it had a real mouth on her. And when they put it on another network years later, that network, you couldn't say a certain word. So when my time came up, my producer said, it sounds like a truck backing up, because every time you speak, it go beep, 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 beep.
Now, did you grow up in a household that used the swear words and stuff? Because that was, I grew up in Montana, and then we would go to the ranches in Wyoming, and when we were out there in the fields with the cattle, man, we just let everything fly.
Yeah, we do. I was raised with an older brother, a younger brother. There was such an age difference. I didn't use bad words with him, but my older brother and I were champions. Yeah, we used to give each other. I don't know what I can say on your network, but I learned at a very young age like how to give the finger, because my brother would do it to me, so I'd do it to him. I have a picture I'm looking at right now with my doing that in a photo, and I had it sent to my brother framed as a little love gift.
See, that's the kind of stuff that's missing from the world, is the true art of body language. In other words, how did you feel in that, when you can let your body do the talking for you?
Exactly. I'm not Italian, but I have learned how to speak with my body.
The name of the book we're talking about is Apparently There Were Complaints. Working in radio, I was always in the boss's office. They were always complaining about something. Isn't that because creative people take chances and just not everybody agrees with it?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. I mean, and also when your television was my medium, I mean, the networks, they have rules. One time we were doing a reading on Cagney and Lacey. Every week we do a reading of the script. I don't know what I can say on your network.
Anything. It's wide open.
Oh, okay. Well, Marty Cove had a line during the reading that was the word, pardon me, cunt.
Yeah.
And I stopped the reading and I turned to Barney, our producer. I said, can you say cunt on CBS? He said, no, but I'm putting that into trade for another word I want to use. That's how we get words in that were, arguable. And he'd put something really racy in the script and then negotiate.
Wow. See, when I do voiceover work for commercials and stuff like that, they call that pre-life. Give me the pre-life. And then all of a sudden, then when you go into the actual commercial, then I'm already in that character.
Oh, great. Yeah, exactly. I understand that. I'd love to have gotten into that world, the commercial world.
But it's like what Barry Manilow says, because he started out as a jingle writer. He used to say, all I did was make 30-second hit songs. And I'm going, oh my God, that would have been just as brilliant.
Barry's a very dear friend of mine.
Oh, I love him.
We studied metaphysics together for the last 40 years.
Really?
Yeah.
What have you learned?
That we can create our own reality, anything we want. And what I like about metaphysics is that it stopped me from blaming my grandmother and, all the stuff you read about in the book. And I sort of took it on my own shoulders and everything changed.
Living in the presence of now. Is that where you stand?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And taking it on myself and, stop making excuses for my childhood.
Yeah.
What good's that do?
Yeah. Growing from that, because a lot of people around us, it's like my sister always wants to live in the past, always talking about the childhood, blah, 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 blah. And I said, man, you got to come up here where I am, because I don't want to think about where I was.
No, I mean, it was wonderful for me to be able to go back and do my book. But I don't live in that. Sometimes my child does take over my day. I do have to admit, Arrow, but I usually ask her to please sit over there. I'm busy. Um, I have no children of my own. I'm just saying my inner child. Um, sorry, I went off on a tangent and I forgot what I was telling you.
We're talking about living in the past and the present, and being up here in the
Yeah, there's
present is where
no
it's at.
unless you're an actor. I mean, there's no value for living in the past if it's going to slow you down.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know.
You talk about inner child right away. I have a flashback of Julia Cameron. Did you study the artist way?
No, I didn't.
Wow, because I mean, she talks about that inner child and being present and all that kind of stuff. Especially, it's one of those words, one of very few books that speaks to the actor or to the creative mind. But see, that's what I like about your book is because you're very open and very honest with this, and I believe that it also reaches the creative mind, saying, I know I'm weird. I'm just going to have to continue proving it.
Yes, exactly. And I really do. I really do speak to my child.
Yeah, yeah,
I do.
yeah.
Inside, I just say if things are not going well, I sometimes have to check in with her to see if she's scared.
Do
You
you
know?
do you keep a journal? Because I mean, because I do a defrag journal, and that's exactly the reason why I do that, because I want to talk to that person that's on the inside.
Yeah, I never keep a journal. I never did because I was always afraid somebody'd find it.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. There's something fun in that.
You mean being exposed? I mean,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I didn't want my dreams exposed or how I felt about my mother. I never did keep a diary.
How are you
My
able?
mind is a diary. I remember
Oh yeah.
everything.
Well, how were you able to put the book together in that way? Because I had a friend yesterday that was talking to me about it. He says, I don't understand how you can put your thoughts on paper without people wanting to find it and read it. I go, look, if I don't want to be judged, then I won't judge them for judging me.
Well, if I was afraid of being judged, I wouldn't have written the book.
You're right.
You know? I sort of didn't care by the time I did it.
One of the things that I always when people are going through their transitions in life and stuff like that and grow away from the careers that made them famous is that have you had the opportunity to sit down with that creative child inside and say, okay, this is where we're going to go. It may not be what your dream was, but we're going to go this way.
I haven't been. I'm very active emotionally about my work
Mm-hmm.
and my dreams for the future, but I've never had a set character I ever wanted to play.
Nice.
But I don't know how to explain. I've just always dreamed or believed that I would have this future, which I've had,
Yeah.
and this life I've had. I also wish on thunderstorms.
You do? What? Wow.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's about sort of metaphysics. Yeah, it is. It's beyond the physical. Thunderstorms, there's a great power in lightning,
Mm-hmm.
just an electrical energy. And whenever there's a thunderstorm in Miami and lightning and stuff, I wish on it. And my wishes come true. Some I didn't want come true that I didn't know I wanted, like writing this book. But I do keep dreaming. Like a child, I guess. I dream of how I want to feel. Not necessarily what the role would look like, but how I want to feel when I do it well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of how I create my next project, my reality. I don't have to know what it's going to look like. They'll hand it to me.
I love the way you speak because so many people are going to this metaverse and things like that, and they're calling that their real world. And what you're saying to listeners is that be yourself. Find peace in your own world.
Well, yeah, that's all I've got.
Right?
So, yeah. So you look out, world, the one I created. But yeah, that's all I have is what I have.
Do you miss your hands on that keyboard? Or actually, no, you spoke it. Do you miss being by that microphone by sharing the story like that?
No.
Wow.
Because I get to talk to you.
Okay.
I mean, the book was 8 years in the making. It was daunting.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you don't do it without help. It's my words, but you need somebody to focus you, But my dream now is to not do that anymore and to go back to acting again.
Yeah, yeah. Did you feel like that you were acting through the book?
That's an interesting question. No, because I was telling the truth.
Okay.
But sometimes I told the truth about my acting up. You know what I mean?
Most writers go into a hidden space. Did you get to do that, or were you just wide open with it, saying, "Okay, I'm gonna share this story, get it recorded in wherever I feel the moment."
Wait, you mean as a writer? I thought you were talking to me as an actress.
Well, as that writer, yeah, because I mean, it's like when I write, I have a favorite chair that I sit in, and it's like that's where I know that the spiritual energy is. Now, when I do the radio shows and stuff like that, I go into a special place. I could never. I mean, I try to do radio shows elsewhere, but it doesn't have that warmth of where we are.
You mean a physical place?
Absolutely.
Yes, there's a room that I sat in, one of two rooms that I sat in my house here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, yeah. Does it still carry that energy?
I beg your pardon?
Does it still carry that energy? Because, I mean, all of a sudden you pulled from the universe to share the story.
Does the room still share that energy?
Yeah.
If I go to that place again, because I could go sit in the room and just watch television. I mean, the room serves many purposes. But there is a room that I worked in, one of two, my den or my living room sometimes.
To relinquish it.
Like when I would talk to other people.
Right, right.
And have the thing running.
When you release the book, you're relinquishing the pages. In other words, you just gave it to the world. And I mean, what was that experience like for you when all of a sudden it no longer belonged to you? It belonged to those who were going to read the book.
Right. I wasn't afraid. I just hoped that people liked it. It got good reviews.
Yep.
The paperback is now out this month. The audio won 3 awards. It didn't get a New York Times bestseller, which I was hoping because it's a good book. But I discovered that most actors' autobiographies rarely hit that stride. But it's I don't know. I'm so happy I did it.
Yes. No, I'm totally
so happy, but it took for a lot of years. It took me a lot of years to do it, and then all of a sudden it was done.
Mm-hmm.
There was no more to say. I wrote up to today.
Wow. What an experience. I wish everybody could write, because my whole entire mantra is share your story or someone will write it for you. And what you've done with this book is you have shared your story. And that just means so much to my heart.
Oh, Arrow, recording it was almost more emotional than writing it. Writing it is work.
Yep.
But recording it was they rolled up my words, on a screen, and I'm now recording it. I sometimes start to cry.
Yep.
Which I don't remember doing when I was actually writing.
Mm-hmm.
But doing it all in one slew, anyway, I stopped because my best friend came to help me direct. And I said, I'm so sorry, guys, let's stop. And she'd say, no, that's gold. Keep it in.
That's it. So true. Oh, Sharon, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. Darn good and well, the door is always open.
You make it so easy.
Well, you're such a great conversationalist. I love it.
Thank you. Well, I'm talking about myself. A subject I know well.
I love that, though. Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Arrow. You too.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.